Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's just another video from Saitama World, and it's right in time for the new Superman movie. And what better way to celebrate than by making a casual but fun tier list where we rank some of the most famous Superman types by how they'd place in One Punch Man's prestigious S-Class rankings. And just to put some of you at ease, there are no spoilers for the new Superman movie in this video, just trailer footage at most. This tier list will take into account power, effectiveness, and also the ability to win over the hearts and minds of the people, since the S-Class rankings in One Punch Man factor those in as opposed to strength alone, albeit to a certain degree. This is evident by how someone like Flashy Flash is probably within the top 5 for overall power as an individual, yet actually ranks somewhere between 10 and 13 depending on story events. However, strength and effectiveness are still very important to the rankings, so with that being said, let's get into the tiering. Below S indicates that the character is more likely to be beneath this prestigious rank. It doesn't necessarily mean there's not a world where they can't get into S-Class somehow, just that the percentages indicate they'd be more likely to not be if they're banking on a lucky break to make that happen. Low S signals that their power is probably on the lower side of the class, or that they're just not very popular or reliably effective despite being strong. Mid S tells us that this is a very strong individual who can hold their own in the middle of the pack when it comes to S-Class encounters. However, they're not quite at the peak, or may perhaps not quite be able to reach the highest level of popularity required to get overwhelming recognition. And finally, we have High S. These heroes are insanely strong, very effective in their work, and likely have earned a great following by this point too, be it via themselves or with the help of the Hero Association's marketing. Invincible from Amazon's Prime series is up first, and he is without a doubt within the S-Class category. With power, speed, and heroic nature on his side, he's got experience fighting all kinds of bad guys and even badder monsters. Mark is no stranger to fighting with his back up against the wall despite being incredibly powerful himself. However, I think what we've seen from Mark's mentality when dealing with dire situations is what will lead him into problems within the world of One Punch Man. Mark, for some reason or another, always seems to end up holding back against both villains and monsters alike, even at the times when there's no clear reason to be. And doing something like this within One Punch Man could prove more fatal than he's used to. Added in that his fighting skills are not quite to the talents required within this verse to make up for this natural instinct to hold back, Mark may end up not utilizing the best of his power like he usually does, which will, in turn, cause him quite a bit of trouble. While still very impressive and a clear member of the S-Class, I'm going to put Mark in low S due to his consistent mistake making and inability to go as hard as he needs to when he needs to, which often leads to him taking losses he shouldn't be. So before you start complaining about Mark can do this and Mark can do that, let's look at how he actually performs in character at this higher level and all the times he's gotten in his own way. Maybe this will change in season 4 after the finale of season 3, but until I see concrete character changes within the show, what he said at the end of season 3 won't influence this list just yet. And this brings us to someone within his family who isn't afraid to pull his punches. Omni-Man from Amazon's Invincible. Of course, we'll be treating this as a Nolan who is trying to at least maintain his role as a hero out of his own interests for the sake of this list. Unlike Mark, Omni-Man brings more experience, skills, ruthlessness, and power to the role. Unafraid to hold back on monsters and willing to get stuck in, Nolan won't be as likely to fall into the traps Mark tends to set for himself, and thus should be able to crack down upon many a foe within the world of One Punch Man. With amazing strength and a decent level of speed by One Punch Man standards, Omni-Man would no doubt carve out a name for himself as a hero to be respected. Added in, he's no stranger to saving the world from natural disasters like approaching meteors and whatnot, so he'll certainly get himself in the good books of the Hero Association and earn himself a very deserved mid-S ranking within the S-Class. When maintaining his facade, Nolan is a very reliable hero who isn't afraid to get stuck in. One Punch Man's verse will allow him to truly let loose with the monsters he fights, since the Hero Association and civilians pretty much expect heroes to violently destroy those threats to humanity. So with someone like Omni-Man being allowed to essentially go all out as long as he's not harming citizens in the process, he'll do great in many cases. Although, while a powerhouse, Omni-Man's effectiveness will start to unravel more into the dragon threat level territory. Similar to some other mid S-class heroes, however, it's still a mighty fine placement for the Viltrumite. Shazam from the DCEU is up next, and in a flash of lightning, it's clear he'd be a pretty popular guy. Vibrant, talkative, and always down to help. I think Shazam would get a good leg up in the rankings because of his personality, and when you throw that in with his super strength, speed, and the powers which come with Shazam, he'd be a boon for the Hero Association. Judging by the fact that they don't mind Child Emperor getting down and dirty with the monster fighting business, the fact that Shazam is a child probably won't bother the association executives as much as it probably should, but welcome to the world of One Punch Man, I guess. When you have a planet-threatening monster attack happening all the time, turning up several times a week, looking to turn your way of life into a post-apocalyptic movie, you can't be too choosy with the superheroes who are offering to save the day for the sake of everyone else. Especially if they're as powerful as Shazam, which earns him a strong mid-S ranking for both reliable power in most situations and general popularity among the citizens. Naturally, the limit of his abilities will stop him from reaching high S, but mid-S is still very good. Homelander from Amazon's The Boys makes the list, although if you've been aware of my channel before this video, you may already know that I've done an entire video on him for this very concept. So don't click away just yet. When you're done with this video, click on my channel to find that one. But hey, not yet. Keep your eyes right here and click that subscribe and like button too. All that aside, Homelander could very well become an S-class hero under the right conditions. However, those conditions are of a smaller percentage than the ones he'd likely end up facing, which places him at below S tier, since he's just not got the overall speed to trade hands with the majority of demon level threat monsters of One Punch Man, and that'll be a big problem for the Seven's main man, which will lead to a lot of dead civilians, ruined city blocks, and a badly hurt Homelander. Perhaps a forgotten man in the realm of Superman type characters, but Hancock stumbles his way into this list with a bottle in hand. Known to be an alcoholic, this is a man capable of great things who just needs the right guidance to be pushed into doing those great things. Seemingly invulnerable, able to fly at fast speeds and incredibly strong, Hancock is more than capable of saving the day, however he can be quite reckless at doing so too, often causing collateral damage, which when grouped with that rabid love of alcohol, well, let's just say it probably won't make him too popular with many of the locals, or the Hero Association executives who are going to spend a lot of time trying to cover his messes. Still, I do believe he cleans up his act later on in that movie, so it's not to say he would be like that forever, but it is to say he's certainly prone to it when not helped onto the straight and narrow. When it comes to what he can handle, the director of the movie himself stated in a bonus disc that a SAR bomb would be able to knock him out. So since being knocked out in a battle equates to losing, we can gather how much he can handle if we take the director's word. And if you don't agree with that, well, don't argue with me about it, go and get on the director's case. He's the one that said it. Additionally, his speed is good as a Superman type character, however it's less than the better Supermen in comparison, and gathered with his less than ideal approach to being a hero, while he might be able to scrape into mid-S, I'm going to throw him into low S, since a lack of combat speed at this level and carelessness could cost him. But it's about time we got to the man himself, one of the most beloved Superman adaptations of all time, thanks to a very hardcore following which still sings his praises to this day. Of course, it's Henry Cavill's Superman from the DCEU. Some of these guys love this Superman so much that they already hate the new one before he's even had a chance out in the sun, since as of this time of recording, the new Superman movie has not yet come out. Since there's two versions of this Superman because of the whole director drama around the movie, we'll kind of just look at it as a whole. Fast enough to keep up with the Flash, powerful enough to overwhelm the entire Justice League, Superman is a hero not to be trifled with and would absolutely be a figure of strength, safety, and hope within the world of One Punch Man. With strength to shift tectonic plates, heat vision that can damage the likes of Steppenwolf, and speed upon Earth which trumps anyone within this list so far, it's a no-brainer that this Superman will be in the high S ranking of this tier list. Unlike the others, this Superman is more convincingly within the realms of speed that allows him to keep up with not only the fastest of heroes, but the fastest of monsters too, meaning there's few monsters within this brutal planet which could truly stop this version of the Man of Steel. Added in with his incredible strength, flight, and desire to protect, and, well, you have yourself a very powerful S-class hero indeed. The future of One Punch Man is bright with the Man of Steel around. And speaking of bright, we have a character said to have the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. The Sentry from the MCU flies in for his ranking, and he's a little harder to rank than the other guys. Yeah, you already know what I'm going to say. We haven't seen enough of him. There's always going to be two camps for a character like this with the position they're currently in. Said to be mega powerful but not having yet shown it fully, so fans are either going to say you can't say he's that good until he does XYZ, and others saying that because he's been stated by creative to be stronger than ABC, then that means he is whether you like it or not. I don't mind where you place yourself on that conversation, but for the fun of it, and since I doubt Marvel would go so balls to the wall with their hype for him if it weren't at least close to being true, let's just go with the notion that he is as strong as the company is making him out to be. Stronger than all of the Avengers combined, I think the quote went. While I won't take that completely at face value, since I don't know if they mean combined by like he can fight all of them at once, or if they mean they added all their powers into one person and Sentry's numbers still come out superior, but let's accept it enough to say that he's stronger than the likes of Thor, Captain Marvel, and the Hulk at the very least. I doubt they'd go through all of that marketing campaign if he's not even stronger than just one of them, right? Anyways, with all of that said, this easily paints a picture for the Sentry making his way into the high S tier. Easy to market and outrageously powerful with speed and strength, which makes him a monster even among the other Superman types in this list. It's no doubt that the Sentry would be a massive headache for any monster caught in his path. Considering Captain Marvel operates at the speed of light and possibly even being up to star level in damage potential, if Sentry is above her, as well as Thor, who is no joke either, then the suggestions speak for themselves. The only fear will be keeping this dude's mental well-being in check, so this ranking is only providing he doesn't go off the rails and is more or less in control of himself, so the Hero Association can point him around the place like a Superman-styled guard dog, wrapped in a golden, advertising-friendly design. Wow, I just imagined what an animated fight between him and Boros would look like. Damn, wouldn't that be cool? And last but not least, we have James Gunn's Superman. But the problem is, as of this video's writing, the movie isn't out, and I haven't seen it. But I imagine by the time this video is being watched, the movie will have been out for a few days or more, and thus this provides us a great opportunity to work together on the ranking for Superman 2025. What I want you all to do in the comments, for those who have seen the latest Superman movie, is let me know where you think the latest Superman would rank in this tier list and why. How does he stack up to the other Superman types in this list? Who is he stronger or weaker than? And are there any other factors which will affect his ranking in this list? I will be putting a pinned comment after a set amount of time which settles where we as a community will place Superman 2025 in this list, so make sure to have your say in the comments for where you think he will go. The most convincing and popular takes will contribute to where I decide to put him. And of course, please make sure you've seen the movie before you say where you think he goes, otherwise that defeats the purpose of it. So, for right now, 2025 Superman is unranked. However, with the help of the comments over the following days, now that the movie should be out by the time you're seeing this video, we'll find a place for him which will go in the pinned comment once I get enough takes on it. Be sure to like and comment, don't forget. That brings us to the end of the video. Again, like and comment, subscribe if you want more One Punch Man related content, and thanks for hanging out as always. Until next time.